Jacob Telejohn.
Lucas Melby.
Have you ever blacked out?
I like when I'm walking up and down stairs, I have moments of blacking out, starting to see like spots and stuff. When I get up and move quickly, I pass out a lot. Like I'll just be laying in my bed and oh, wow, it's like 4 a.m.
Okay. Some of that sounded a little scary to start. I'm seeing stars walking up the steps and passing out. In that sense, I assume you mean that you're just falling asleep, right?
Yes.
But you've never encountered a blank spot in time or anything.
That's my entire life.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll encounter some blank spots in Jacob's timeline when we start talking and trying to rank every Disney Channel original movie.
But not from alcohol or drug use.
So that's the thing. We're a whole new pod. The podcast's all about
staying sober.
Not being cool guys at the parties. We're a couple of party virgins here.
It's true.
So yeah, primarily the ways I think you're going to black out is drinking, drugs, or like getting punched in the head or whatever.
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't recommend getting punched in the head.
Speaking of blacking out, today was a black day. The blackest of days.
Friday.
We are recording this on Black Friday.
Happy Black Friday. Hopefully they're getting hopefully you got all those deals.
And we decided to celebrate it by watching The Slumber Party.
Yeah.
Which when I was trying to look up stuff about this movie, kind of hard to find because there's a series of movies, of course, called The Slumber Party Massacre.
Oh.
And I think there's maybe just another movie called The Slumber Party, or there's one called The Sleepover.
Okay.
So I believe this is based on a book, but the book's called The Sleepover, but they probably called it The Slumber Party because there was already a sleepover. And the reason we were opening up with the teaser about blacking out is because this is an unabashed teeny bopper, haven't said that for a bit, take on
The Hangover. And like you said, the author of the books, which it's based on, isn't afraid to hide that. Actually, you kind of made it sound like it.
I did some research to go to based on a Letterboxd review. I went to the author's website to look at her books, and this book just says like, yeah, we're doing The Hangover
for teens.
For teens, because teens, they shouldn't watch The Hangover. Jacob, big fan of The Hangover.
I apparently was watching it in 2009, when it first came out, so I would have been
sneaking into the theater.
16, maybe?
Yeah. I feel like that would have been a summer release.
So I was watching and I remember maybe when it first came to either the Red Box or DVD, we bought it. We watched it a lot as a family. A lot.
That's interesting.
Just a really funny movie for us. I don't know, just a movie our family all kind of really laughed at together. So.
And did you follow through with all the sequels?
I didn't really like the second and third one. I've seen them, but like we were talking about, they're basically just carbon copies, just in different locations. Somebody else gets misplaced, and it's, yeah.
But you were like, but what if they did The Hangover, but
for
with
kids.
Teenage girls?
I mean...
Oh. And set it in modern day, but then make it 70s retro aesthetic for some reason.
And maybe that's where the maybe the author herself, maybe she grew up in the 70s, or maybe she really likes the 70s, so she could.
Maybe she once saw The Hangover.
Yeah,
and she watched it all the time.
Maybe
with her
she
parents.
liked Boogie Nights. Who knows? She's just combining all the movies.
Yes, the most important thing of Boogie Nights is that it takes place in the 70s. That's the only thing most people seem to think about with that.
But yeah, I would say this movie does pay a lot of homage to not only The Hangover, but there's a couple other drops in it too.
Yeah, it kind of
Beetlejuice has had a reference to Beetlejuice. There was kind of maybe a visual to
the least
The Breakfast Club.
Yeah, we'll get into it. This movie doesn't really have a strong identity of its own. It's just a lot of stuff mishmash and a lot of just cliches and tropes. Beginning from the very start, not maybe quite from the start, because we start out with
like a freeze frame or like a stock motion.
We're in media res first. If you click on this movie on Disney Plus, this is the first test case of what it was like for us to watch a Disney original movie. This is, again, in the lineage with Prom Pack. Watching on Disney Plus under my new ad-supported subscription model.
And it was fine.
There was supposed to be 2 commercial breaks, but we only had one at the beginning and one in. So it was a total of 45 seconds of ads. And one of them I pulled up before I went and got Jacob. So if that's the way it goes, I mean, I'm still not going to subscribe every month to month, but I'll feel better about it as opposed to having to watch an extra 5 minutes when I'm like, but I was excited this movie was 80 minutes and now it's 85 minutes. Oh my God, it's the worst movie ever.
This might be one of our shorter DCOMs ever, huh?
Yeah, it's 83 minutes.
It was like an hour 20. Yeah, it was like an hour 23 minutes.
But we start out, as I said, in media res, where we're seeing a giant hedgehog, which is the splash image if you watch this on Disney Plus. So you'd be like, oh, I wonder what this hedgehog's all about. And then you're immediately greeted with the hedgehog. Careening down the streets, we have 3 girls who will soon learn the names of being Meg.
And the hedgehog is like a float. It's like a vehicle.
You know what? That's a fair clarification. That it's not
just like a giant hedgehog. Yeah, it's not like a mutant hedgehog. Yes, it's like
they're really kids are all about hedgehogs now after the Sonic the Hedgehog movies.
I thought it was kind of we didn't know that it was like a float for like a parade or for a school, so it was kind of just giving like, oh, is this just like a mascot for like a business, like the Oscar Mayer Wiener or something like that.
And I had a rare thing that doesn't really happen too much in these movies anymore. It happened more with Prom Pack because there was lots of 80s music in that. But the song that was playing, I'm like, I know this song.
You knew
what
that
is
song.
this? And part of it was like Japanese, the Japanese language in a part. I'm like, well, I listen to a lot of weeb shit, weird anime music. So I'm like, wait, what could they possibly have? And
is that a newer song or old?
No,
like
look
70s.
Look up Baby Metal Chocolate on your phone. I give you permission. Because, no, it's definitely not 70s. It might be like 2015 or something. But Baby Metal, it's a metal group that I think I don't know if it's an apocryphal story, but that it was a Japanese metal band that maybe weren't having the most success. So then
2013.
So literally I said maybe this song is like 10 years old, and it was. So they were trying to get some crossover appeal by bringing in J-pop idols. So it's metal music, undertones to it. But then like the chorus is more J-poppy. So this was Gimme Chocolate by Baby Metal. And I was like, well, that's weird, especially given like the other music that they play in the movie, as well as the retro aesthetics they have. But there's 3 girls on the hedgehog. And I guess secretly maybe a hidden boy in the background we don't know about yet.
Oh, yes.
And these are our main character, Meg, Veronica, and Paige.
I'm going to forget all the names.
Meg was the only one I recognized. I can't remember her actress's name, but she played I think she played Reese Witherspoon's younger daughter in Big Little Lies.
Okay.
And that was what I knew.
Young
Sheldon was also in that.
She the one missing the eyebrow?
Yes.
Okay.
Then we, as Jacob said a little earlier, we get a freeze frame in classic. Bet you're wondering how I got here and why I'm missing an eyebrow.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, yeah, that's why I clicked on this movie.
So then you get like a rewind through the movie. I've seen
literally a scrubbing as if through a YouTube video going back to the beginning.
And it shows like the line rewinding in the video.
Which is another weird aesthetic choice, given that, well, we'll soon they're like in a basement that could be, the basement they hang out in that 70s show, but they have smartphones.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily dress in like a 70s aesthetic. They're more like just the Zoomer style of, 90s, early 2000s fashion. That seems to be what's hip now.
The usual.
So then we get back to the beginning where she continues her kind of, I said Malcolm in the Middling, where she's talking directly to the camera. Yeah. But that basically sandwiches the movie. So we get it here at the beginning, but then we don't get it until like the very end.
3/4 of the way through, yeah.
And whenever she's talking about her friends she's introducing, we're getting splash text in that 70s style of, maybe like the title of Dazed and Confused, that kind of lettering for Veronica and Paige. And I'm just like, what is going on? This is a lot of stuff I'm taking.
Yeah, I mean, we noticed pretty early on that it kind of had that, like we've been saying, the 70s kind of aesthetic to it. So who knows? Maybe the director of the movie or the author of the books. I don't know. In the books,
I don't know if
I don't know. They really like the 70s. I mean, it's not just like.
I mean, obviously, like post Stranger Things, and even in the beginning before Stranger Things, there was a lot of 80s stuff. And
it's weird that they tried to combine the present with the styles of all the past.
I mean, again, this movie's already going to be The Hangover, so they're just like, we don't have an identity of our own. Maybe that was a unique spin they could do. Nobody's doing 70s throwback.
I'm not arguing with it. I kind of dug it.
It was just weird and didn't really add anything to the movie. We even had a moment where we're like, wait, this is modern day because
They have cell phones.
The main girl, Meg. First of all,
they know what twerking is.
First of all, two gay dads.
Two gay dads.
Two gay therapist dads.
They're not in the movie very much. We do see them. We are introduced to them.
It is just funny how, I don't know, we've had...
Two gay dads in the last 3 DCOMs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, 6 gay dads in a way.
But
they're therapists, so they don't want her to have too much screen time, which after just spending Thanksgiving with a younger second cousin who was watching, Mommy, I want videos. I don't know what the fuck she was watching over there, but I'm like, Skibbity Toilet? Are you familiar with Skibbity Toilet?
I have no idea what that is.
You can look it up at home later. But kids, get them off their phones. I'll be an old man. I didn't have a smartphone until I bought one for myself in college. It was my senior year of college. I didn't have a cell phone, just a normal cell phone, until 10th or 11th grade in high school. So I think, I'm not saying kids can't have cell phones at all, but gotta
limit
everything
that
in moderation.
Time, you know.
Otherwise, you'll get a fucking generation of Jacob Telligent.
Ooh, who wouldn't want that?
Maybe, I've had some conversations with Jacob's parents. So they don't want it.
Oh my god.
So yeah, two gay dads. We won't do that a bunch this episode.
We might a little bit.
She has essentially a jitterbug, or they believe they call it a grasshopper phone. But so we were like, well, she's got an older phone, but the joke was that it is for like old people.
They make jokes about it later in the movie.
Yeah.
Is that, what are the buttons on there in hieroglyphics? That 1997 phone? There's a few other jokes in there.
Lots of jokes. So
this whole movie's a joke.
So her friends are Paige, who has a brother Mikey. That'll be relevant. And
they are Asian, of Asian descent.
That doesn't really matter.
Well, I gotta figure out a way to
Jacob,
keep these
we
names
only
straight.
call out the diversity hits when they're gay.
Fair enough.
And dads.
Gay dads.
And there's 2 of them.
There were 2 gay
Otherwise,
dads.
I'm blind. I don't see anything. I only see 2 gay dads, and then the rest of the world is black and white. So Paige and her brother Mikey, who drops them off, he's got a truck, and he drops them off at their friend.
Like a 70s truck, you know?
Yeah. Also,
It's
most
like
of the vehicles we see in the movie are throwback, which could just be that, people have... This takes place in Atlanta, so people can have older cars there.
Yeah.
But some of them is very much like, that's very deliberate to also bring home the aesthetic. Get dropped off at Anna Maria's house, and Anna Maria is turning 14 either that day or I think maybe it's the next day. And her dad, not gay, getting married to a new mom. And I'm like, wait, she's not the main character of the movie, and we're giving her mom and dad drama.
So yes, because we do not see her in the very beginning of the movie with the hedgehog.
True.
We see her step.
Because I was trying to put together the character names, and I'm like, well, is she like a mean person? Because she's not at the beginning of the movie. But
yes, we see her soon-to-be stepsister, though, in that opening.
That sets up the kind of ticking clock that we'll eventually get to, is that the wedding is the next day, but that night they're having a big slumber party. Oh, Dad, I don't want to have Veronica come. She's going to be her future stepsister. Well, you have to. So
and she's kind of the Alan, the Zach Galifianakis character of The Hangover.
I forgot.
Just kind of just goofy, just comedic relief, I guess.
Well, at least that's what they intended.
Yeah.
I didn't like her very much. And I forgot to mention before they go into Anna Maria's house, Meg's skirt gets caught in the truck's door.
In front of her crush.
So she gets de-skirted in front of Jake Ramirez, and we briefly see her underwear before she gets covered up by a flannel shirt.
Yeah.
So, still, again, this is that Disney original movies territory. We're going to get a little wild.
This is your 2 gay daddies DCOMs,
2 gay dad era.
Yeah.
So Anna Maria, she's pissed, but she's like, whatever, we're going to have an awesome slumber party. And her friends were like, why are you so mean to Veronica? And she takes them aside, and she has this really weird thing where she's like, I just want my family to be normal. I want my dad to marry my mom, and I don't want to have any step siblings. And Meg's like, excuse me? I have 2 gay dads? And then Paige is like, and I'm a step sibling to my brother because my mom's been married 3 times. They're like, check your heteronormative values. Families, there is no normal family anymore. And you should be nice to Veronica. So I thought that was...
Lucas and I both come from heteronormative families that neither have had
Neither of us have two gay dads.
And neither of them have been divorced.
Well, you don't know that.
Oh.
We don't need to go into my family history.
Oh my goodness. Sorry, I shouldn't have spoken.
It doesn't matter. It's like going into this, I'm like, I know this is a Hangover spoof or remake. I don't need this, like, what is a normal family thing. And it also gets dropped for basically...
that woke ideology, man. They're just trying to put on us, man, that any family can be whatever it wants.
Well, but it wasn't even what the movie was about. I guess, in a way, the movie's message seems to be open to trying new things, which could apply to a new family structure, which is really just a dad getting remarried.
Yeah. Just be open to it, just have an open mind.
So Veronica, the stepsister, is welcomed at the party, but not Penny, Anna Maria's real younger sister. But we'll later find out that she does participate.
Penny is just kind of a little shit. Just kind of, I don't know, just a little stain.
Then it is the evening. The slumber party is kicking into high gear. Enter Titus Burgess, who is, I know him from
Mesmer,
Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, which I watched one episode of.
I've heard that show.
But he's a recognizable actor, and he plays Mesmer, the hypnotist.
Yes.
Who,
one of many jobs.
Yeah.
That they have in the movie.
But it feels weird. Jacob's like, I could see people doing this in the 70s. I'm like, do you? Because I don't think I'd see any time a teen
They had a Ouija board. You did point out they had a Ouija board going.
That was just, kind of set dressing. That didn't end up being really a thing either. Jacob, did we ever talk about when you were hypnotized?
Maybe we did once. Was that for the
That was for the senior party?
Yeah. I maybe we did. I don't know. You can readdress it.
I don't know. You're the one who was hypnotized, not me.
There was like 20 of us on stage. Got picked out of the crowd. I think it's recorded.
I'm just asking you what the experience was. Do you think you were actually hypnotized? Do you believe in hypnotism?
I mean, I feel like I was cognitive. Like I kind of remember bits and parts of it, but I don't know. Like there was stuff that I don't think that I would do. I don't know. I guess. I think people can get persuaded.
Jacob can get persuaded.
Yeah.
I could sell him this pen right here.
Wow.
ABCs. Always be closing, motherfucker. But Jacob, the hypnotist, was like, something like, what do you want to be, or what do you want to help you with success? And Jacob's like, I want to be big on YouTube. And I'm just always like, this guy can't even run our fucking Twitter account.
Oof.
So that was Jacob's hypnotism story. It seems like it was kind of a blackout for him too.
Ugh.
The last, going on 10 years almost.
Yeah.
No, not
more.
No. 15 years. We're not that old, Jacob.
12 years ago.
Yeah. Well, no, we're older than that, Jacob. No, not. We're horrible at
What year is it?
I was hypnotized before this episode. So,
oh God,
they're all into it except Meg. That doesn't really matter. They're all laying on like the 70s carpet rug in the basement.
Yeah, what is that? Shag carpet?
Yeah, I don't think it was shag, but it was.
They got their Coca-Cola. They got their Takis. They got their Haribo gummies.
None of those are 70s touchstones.
No.
It's just good brands to stick in there.
Ritz crackers.
And the hypnotist Mesmer is counting them down and, saying the whole, and when I snap my fingers, blah, blah, blah. He snaps.
And there's a trigger, right? Is that what they call it? A trigger word?
Well,
or something?
Maybe.
I can't remember what they call it.
I wasn't really listening to everything he was saying.
We're not told it here, but there's some word that Mesmer gives to them that kind of, that kind of gets them out of their trance.
Yeah, which, I don't know.
We hear it at the very end of the movie. Should I just say what it is now?
No, it doesn't matter. It's just weird to... If there was a trigger word that's supposed to cut them off, obviously he didn't use it. And then they have just like a fugue state where they don't remember anything.
Yeah.
But then eventually they do get out of that state.
Once
and then they start to have a memory.
Once they hear the word, then that's when they remember stuff.
But I'm just saying, like,
that's
the next
why
morning,
they were trying to find him.
But like the next morning when we have like the whole movie progressing.
Yes.
It's not like they're forgetting everything that just happens to them then. So it's just like, it's just that night.
Yes.
So I guess maybe he said like, I don't know, you have a period where you won't remember anything.
Yeah.
And then I'll later never actually tell you what it was. And I don't know.
I don't know what the whole purpose of them not remembering that.
Partially, I think it is that Mesmer is an irresponsible hypnotist and forgot to give it to them. But I'm just like, was he hypnotizing them to be like wild and crazy? Because that's how the night ends up going. Or was that just them being like, we're trying new things? Their inner
thoughts are just getting...
Because there's a little bit where Meg's like, oh, you guys always do stuff without me, like go to Six Flags.
This is just their way to get to the point where, okay, what happened last night? They said, get back on pace with the, the hangover kind of vibes. In the hangover, they take, Rufalin. And that's why they forget.
Well, yeah, no, that's why I was just like, the premise of like, how can we get teens to not remember something? Hangover, yeah, sure. People black out all the time and don't remember shit.
So yeah, they just used...
Have you met Sam Blaze?
So yeah, they just used an appropriate way that people might, forget time.
As I said, he snaps, hard cut, next morning, Meg's waking up, goes to the bathroom, realizes, looking in the mirror, that one, she's missing an eyebrow.
I mean, while she's waking up too, we see that the whole basement is basically trashed. It looks like there's shit smeared on the walls.
Written that Veronica was here.
We find out it's just Nutella. But, like, everything's kind of trash, like, yes. And like you were saying, she goes into the bathroom, kind of looks into the mirror, notices she doesn't have an eyebrow. Then she kind of does, like, a turn around. Okay, when I turn back around, it'll be back. It's not. This isn't a dream. This is real life. What happened last night?
Yep.
Yeah. And
where's Dustin to turn to and make comments when I need him?
And then she hears like some chirping.
Well, one other thing she notices in the mirror is that she's wearing the sweatshirt that Jake Ramirez was wearing the day before.
Her crush. This is the crush that lives across the street.
Seems to be like a knockoff Grateful Dead thing. And then
it's like a skull.
Reveals in the bathtub there are a bunch of baby ducklings.
Yeah, like a dozen. Yeah, a dozen yellow little ducks. And then we get the
text popping up in 70s font still. WTD. What the duck?
What the duck?
And then somebody else later on says what the duck? And it's like, well, you can't do the same joke twice. It was already pretty dumb anyway.
They did. That's pretty edgy for kids, man.
So then Veronica's wearing her clothes backwards. Paige just has messy hair. But Anna Maria's not around.
And one has really long nails.
Yeah, that's all Veronica.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I don't.
We didn't say that the washing machine had a bunch of soap coming out of it.
And you said the one girl licks the wall.
I didn't.
Well, you did when we were watching it.
Oh, Jacob. Well, that's not a podcast. That's something Jacob does all the time. Is he'll say, "Well, we were saying earlier," and what he means is that one, it could be while we were watching a movie. Sometimes it might be while we were driving to my house. Sometimes it might just be any other time we've ever had a conversation.
Like a week ago, you were to say this.
And it's well, we didn't just say that.
When we were watching the movie, Lucas pointed out that the one girl was licking the wall to see what was indeed on the wall.
I pointed it out because Jacob wasn't looking at the screen at that time.
No. So, yeah, it was Nutella, not fecal matter. And Veronica does take blame to writing that on the wall.
Well, I mean, it does say Veronica was here.
It does.
So then they're like, oh, where's Anna Maria? Oh, she never goes somewhere without her phone, so let's call her. She's not answering. And they are hearing her phone ringing or vibrating nearby.
Which is what happens in The Hangover, too. They call to see, where's Stu at? Oh.
And then Paige has blood on her hands, which I was like, wait, is that explained? And yes, it is.
Yes.
So they wash off the blood, and then they go to see what Penny might know.
The younger sister.
And this is really dumb because later on they find out that Penny knew something the whole time, but Penny just makes too high of demands of them. She's like, I want you to hook me up with whatever the fake social media thing in the world is. She's like, I want a TikTok account. You're too young, and I want 100,000 followers.
Yeah, she's like, take a picture with me so I get all the followers. And yeah, there was a couple other weird demands.
And this is like, well, if they just did that, then we wouldn't have had
she wanted the one girl to do her homework or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they say no to that, and then I guess they go and try to figure what's up.
Parts of this section, I'm not always clear about what they're doing. So first, they try to call...
They have the docs now, remember?
Yeah. First, they try to call the hypnotist booking agent, which is Captain Bootleg.
Yeah,
character.
I like that. That was fun.
But they can't get a hold of him. Bootleg. So then they decide they think the ducks maybe came from their school, even though... It's the summertime right now, and they're going to be freshmen, so that's part of they're stressed about being in school. So
how would they know what classroom to go to in the school?
So they get to the school, And to break into it, they call Paige's brother Mikey, who's either
hipster brother.
He's probably going to be at least a junior or senior in high school.
He's 16, 17, yeah.
And he seems to have been like the super cool prankster kid in his class, and he has like a secret entrance into the school. There's a brief joke where Veronica is going to do parkour, because at this point, I guess now parkour is not cool again. Probably basically after the Office episode where Michael, Scott, and Dwight do parkour. I don't know. You don't remember that one?
I don't.
It was a later season that I don't even know if I actually watched it or I saw the YouTube video of it.
Iconic.
For the Zoomers, yes, but that means that parkour is no longer cool.
Sad. I mean, parkour used to be a big thing. Hashtag hardcore Henry.
Yeah. Hashtag John Morrison.
Wow.
So then Mikey just gets them into the school, and then they go to like a science lab or something.
And they return the chicks, all but one.
And then they also find one of Anna Maria's shoes that has a duck in it. But then I'm like, I don't know. I wasn't clear if it was just like a duck that they already had that went into the shoes.
Yeah, I think it was a duck that just hopped into it. Yes.
But then
it wasn't just sitting there.
Take the duck with them, and Veronica has a fanny pack or kind of like a shoulder bag.
The duck is in the whole movie?
So it fills in for like the guy, the baby in the baby carrier in the Hangover.
Carlos, the baby from the Hangover, yes. That Alan carries around. And this is Alan's character carrying it around. So.
This is Alan's daughter. And then there's like the principal's there and the janitor's there. And
and they're trying to cover up asbestos. And they chase him around like the Breakfast Club.
It's stupid.
Chase scene. It's fun.
No.
They send Mikey. No. Yes? Mikey to get his vehicle.
You tell
his
me.
Truck. I don't remember the names. I don't remember any of the
names. We'd be moving on if you didn't want to do this.
So he gets their car and what's her name? The Alan character in the movie does some John Bender stuff and runs around and screams, smashes around on the lockers to try to distract so the other two girls can escape. They escape. They get out of there. They're free. They're good. And I think they go to the next school, the rival school at this point.
Well, you know what? I'll pull the Jacob because we missed one key moment. It's the one connection to maybe consider this a Disney Channel original movie, is that Veronica and Mikey have a moment where they're like, this is like in High School Musical with Gabby and Troy. And,
I don't remember what song they sang.
The start of something new.
Is that what it was?
Something like that.
The start of something new.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought about maybe should we do like a ranking all of like the DCOM musical songs or something, but I'm like, we probably don't remember that many of them. So yep. Sorry to
reference
Jacob.
Reference to the High School Musical. No, that was warranted. Thank you.
So they get the shoe.
That's very meta.
And it's got some paint on it. And Mikey's like, oh, that's the rival school's colors. But I can't go past dropping you guys off there because we
kidnapped the principal or something?
We maybe committed a felony.
And we made the principal disappear? Is that what it was?
They kidnapped the assistant principal.
They like killed him. And they never found his body.
Yeah, what happened when they found him? They never did.
What the fuck?
They never did. So they get dropped off at Hillside Prep.
It's a pretty cool big school, big bells on the top.
It's a private school.
Yes.
Or a private school. I mean, it's Atlanta, so that there's probably plenty of schools. As they're driving up, we do see some like pennants on like flag or on light poles
with hedgehogs
to show that this is the hedgehog school.
Yes.
I was trying to think of a funny Sonic joke for that, but I
gotta go fast.
I would have come up with something better than that at least. So they are sneaking up, and the marching band is at the school, and there's both. Well, I guess that's not really a sneeze joke. There is a fart joke.
Yeah.
Where Veronica seems like she's about to sneeze, but then she farts,
and then the band hears her,
and then she sneezes.
Yes.
The band did hear the fart, but they just blamed it on somebody else.
Yeah, it's very loud. It's very obnoxious. But yeah, they get caught, and then they get kind of rallied up, and they kind of get interrogated. Why are you here after you did what you did last night? They're like, what do you mean we weren't here last night? And they show them video of all the girls, stealing the hedgehog float,
like twerking or grinding on it,
and they're working on it,
eating hot chips,
some Takis, and the friend that they're looking for was in the video. So like, we got to figure out where she is, and then like, do you have anything? And then the rival school is saying, well, we have something that belongs to you. We have something that
we have what you want.
Yes.
And they were like, can we clarify? And they're like, no, you cannot.
No. So the thinking we're supposed to think is, okay, they have like their friend, they've kidnapped their friend, holding her hostage. And then they say, oh, well, the only way you can, get what you want back is if you give us what we want back, the hedgehog float.
One little part in there, Veronica has a dance-off with the hedgehog mascot.
Yeah.
And the mascot's like, I can't do it. I
can't compete.
Match.
Can't match the Riz.
So then I guess they're like, oh, well, okay, well, we got to find this float, but we don't know where. But then they get a call into Mesmer's booking agent, and he says now he's at the Chattahoochee Onion Festival.
And he's the mascot onion.
Doesn't really have much payoff. He's dressed as like a purple onion. I think he's the Great Onion.
Yes.
And a little girl comes up to him and says, what makes you so great? And he goes, oh, you little shit.
Yeah.
And then right after that, we get a page getting cut off saying shit. And it's like, you're just doing the same joke again.
Yeah.
So they're trying to find him in the Onion Festival, and they just happen to walk up on the main stage where there's about to be the Onion Munch.
And they get confused, or they're...
Because there's 3 empty spots, and they're waiting on 3 onion munching ladies.
Yeah.
And they roll them in, and this is where we meet Johnny Onion.
Johnny Onion, what a beast! So this guy's like a really big. He kind of looks like a biker, lumberjack.
A lumberjack.
Yeah, he's just a big guy, and he's talking shit. And he's like, "Oh, you girls are trying to, wuss out. You can't take me on this contest." And they're like, "Bring it on, Johnny Onion."
I thought I maybe misheard. It's like you each get a plate. But
and
I thought they said a pound, and I'm like, well, there's like 6 onions on there, so that's way more than a pound.
Yeah, there were a lot more onions.
But then it was like a 2-minute time limit.
Yeah.
But then if you stop eating, then you get put in the onion fryer, which is just like a chain link enclosure.
Yeah,
where nothing happens of relevance in there to make it a fryer, but people yell when somebody stops eating, like, onion fryer. And as they're eating... This is where Paige calls him Beetlejuice or something.
Yeah, it makes some kind of reference. Did someone say Beetlejuice 3 times?
And it's just like, what?
It's just the director of the movie or the author of the book really likes references.
I don't know what this whole like author. Or you think this is like in the book that she said Beetlejuice?
That's what I don't know. I don't know if in the book they even give them. They might not even give them.
My impression of any of these book adaptations for Disney Channel or Disney Plus, I don't think they're like direct quotes.
Well, I was saying, like, even like the book might not even have the 70s aesthetic to it.
Well, how could it, Jacob? It's a book.
Well, I mean, you could describe characters as looking like a 70s, the 70s.
Yeah, if you're Ernest Cline, author of Ready Player One, who famously says, oh, it was also 80s, and they go to a club where characters were performing a variety of 80s dance moves. Wow. So if you're a bad author,
should we say this is a Ron Howard movie?
Yes, I did have that at the end, but I also meant to say it sooner. Ron Howard, his production company, I think Imagine, and then it's Brian Grazer.
Yeah.
They're always like a co-production pair. So I don't really know. I mean, Ron Howard's made bad stuff.
He's made really good stuff.
He's made good stuff.
What are some of his good movies you've enjoyed?
Apollo 11 or is it Apollo 13?
I really enjoyed him in the Andy Griffith Show. He plays Opie Taylor.
Okay, well, I'm talking more of him as a director.
A director.
Yeah, I mean, I could say I love Arrested Development where he is the narrator for it.
He has a famous daughter too, right?
Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yeah.
Where she's kind of become more of a director lately too.
Yeah.
Whatever the case, he made it. Hillbilly Elegy was the last movie of his that I watched. That movie's a piece of shit. Makes this look Oscar worthy.
So Johnny Onion gets his onion fried. He loses.
Yeah.
Veronica wins.
I got
or Chan or Megan Chan.
Oh yeah, I got thrown off by you being like, there's no way this book is like they're using cell phones, but then they're laying on a 70s carpet, or they have freaking Richard
carpet.
Simmons doing an act.
There's Richard Simmons.
That's the other thing
videos.
is they're watching VHSs, so that's not period appropriate either. So I don't know. It was just dumb. I didn't like it.
I liked it. I liked it.
Basic bitch.
I like the mixture of the different decades.
Yeah, Veronica beats Johnny Onion.
But then gets exposed for not being the actual contestant.
The real Esther Chen shows up. Who's an Asian lady in a cowboy hat. And she's like, I wanted to munch some onions. So then they get kicked out.
Well, she does like quote unquote parkour and stage dives onto her stomach.
She yells.
Doesn't kill the duck.
And I'm immediately like, she's just gonna splat, and then she does.
Splats. And then they get kicked out and they're banned from the Onion Festival.
We don't see what the Onion Fryer was
and
about.
They didn't get to talk to the Mesmer.
And then they're just like on bikes, and we're like, did they ride bikes to get there? They probably did. We just don't remember.
No. Or didn't see.
So Johnny Onion was kind of the peak of the movie for me.
Yeah, I dug him. Oh, and he like vomits. He like pukes in his hands, I guess.
Yeah. So then the only clue they have left to go on is that Meg has Jake Ramirez's sweatshirt. So they go to his house.
And this is the house that they TP'd the night before.
Oh, yeah, we forgot that. That doesn't ever really seem to come into play because he's not ever mad at them. Because it's also like, oh, his sweatshirt kind of smells. What did you do to it? And he's just like, oh, no, I was hanging out with you guys last night. He's got some wild fucking jeans, and he's got a
weird haircut. He's got weird hair flow.
He's just got long hair. He got like Jonathan Taylor Thomas hair.
There we go.
He's got a long Final Fantasy androgynous boy earring hanging from his right ear. And I'm just like, what the hell is going on with Jake Ramirez?
He doesn't look Hispanic.
Well, sometimes he did. Sometimes he didn't. But, we had Anna Maria's family, who's very Hispanic, where there's little bits of Spanish being dropped and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But he's like, oh, yeah, I was hanging out with you guys last night.
Don't you remember last night? They're like, no. We have no idea what happened. And he's like, well, I thought you were coming back to my house for this. And then he opens up his garage to reveal the hedgehog. So they found what they were looking for, or the mission is completed.
Yeah. So then it's time for the swap.
First, they have to get it to the school.
Yeah, I skipped that line in my notes. So yeah, we're basically catching up back to the beginning of the movie where
the freeze frame was, yeah.
Pushing it down the hill because it's got wheels. It seems like it would be like on a golf cart, but I don't know. It must not have strong enough brakes. So it's a big dramatic thing.
They're going on a big hill. Jake is chasing them on his bike that has pegs. They have a bike strapped to the back of it, but it's going down. They can't stop it.
And this is where she flies off Meg.
Yeah, there's somebody blowing leaves in the middle of the street that they try to avoid.
Yeah, it's
kind of gets some.
It's real Paperboy for the NES, where somebody's walking across the street with a plate glass window that they got to dodge around,
and that kind of causes them to go off some kind of jump or something. Like the one girl with the one eyebrow lands in the trash bin, I guess. I don't know.
Before that, she talks to the camera in a freeze frame. It's
yeah.
I don't know what's going on either.
Or she's like, oh, hey again. Yeah, I still don't know what's going on. We're supposed to hopefully find out what's all been happening and by rewinding from the beginning. But no, we're all clueless.
Looking at Jacob again, eyes closed.
Mind Palace.
You did a good job explaining that than me. Better job than me, Jacob.
She's in the garbage. She's covered with even more nasty shit. Jake comes to pull her out. She's got like vomit all over like her shirt. She really stinky.
Vomit.
It's like a white weird stuff. But there's also
she's in a dumpster. So.
There's also a cockroach on her shirt that they all kind of freak out. And then they make a Taylor Swift reference to shake it off, shake it off. And they do that. And then she's like, sorry, your sweatshirt stinks. He's like, well, you can just keep it.
He's like, I hang out with a lot of smelly boys. Well, not cool, Jake.
No.
That's mean to your friends.
They have a damaged hedgehog float for return.
So the marching band shows up.
And Lucas had a really good idea that maybe the friend they're looking for was in the hedgehog, which is kind of, I guess, how it is in the Hangover.
I mean, it sounds like not really. I just have only seen the trailer for the Hangover.
I didn't think it was a bad suggestion. In the Hangover, they find their friend Doug on the roof of the casino.
I mean, where she ends up being very less interesting or wild than
she probably would have died had she been in the hedgehog float thing. So it's gonna be a good thing she wasn't.
We should say they were all wearing bike helmets when they were on the hedgehog.
They're all safe. Safety first, always. And the duck, the duck is, I think, with the brother at this point. Otherwise, it probably would have died, right?
No, the duck's still with Veronica, but she just bailed safely, I guess.
Yeah.
So the marching band shows up, and they're like, oh, this is what we were going to give you. It's Meg's cell phone, and they all roast it for being like a jitterbug or whatever. Oh, there's two buttons. The first one says Dad. The second one says Pops. So we're like,
two gay dads.
Two gay dads?
Two gay dads.
But, you know, they were all chill. It's like, hey, we maybe look like we're from the 70s, but we're very progressive and we're totally cool with two gay dads.
Yeah. And I guess the band said...
They said she should be in therapy. And she's like, well, that's what those buttons are for, because I got my two gay therapist dads.
So this is also when they get mad and like, that's not what we want, this phone. We want our friend. And like, you think we would really kidnap a child? We're not criminals. My mom's a lawyer or whatever the heck. And we know. So
it's such a... It's like, I remember that part, but I'm very clearly like, oh, this is referencing back to a part of the movie that I wasn't listening during, but also Jacob wasn't listening during, so he only gets the callback joke, doesn't even fully remember it properly.
That's
what
happens.
Great stuff.
That's what happens. They have the cell phone. They've returned the float. They still do not know where their friend is.
So they go back to Anna Maria's house, who lives across the street from Jake's house.
They clean up or whatever. They get all out of the stinky clothes.
So Jake first is like, well, you should just talk to Penny. She was with you guys. And they're like, Penny. It's like, this was the first person you went to and you caved. So Jake and Meg are cleaning up in the basement. So where they almost kiss.
They do almost kiss, but she kind of chickens out, I guess.
And then just kisses him like one scene later.
Yeah.
But the other two, Veronica and Paige, are interrogating Penny up in her room
by taking Penny's Great American Dolls or whatever the heck they're called.
Something like that.
And they're ripping off arms and putting it into blenders and like chopping up all the dolls.
She's tied up on her bed with jump ropes.
Yeah.
There's just, some weird parts of this movie where it's like, well, that was a little much for some of how the rest of this movie
She's
goes.
like crying. They're like, oh, and then they go to grab like the horse, they're going to cut all the horse up or whatever. And she's like, she's not crying. She's faking it. And then they start to break it. And then she caves in, I guess, because she doesn't want her horse to get killed, die.
So she says, oh, Anna Maria left a note on the bathroom window and I took it and didn't tell you guys. And the note says, going on a birthday hike.
Keep in mind, this hike was probably like 10 hours ago.
Well, we don't know when the note was there. So it seems that she went on this hike and they find her sleeping on a park bench.
With tampons in her nose. She looks like she just got beat to death. She's like all strung out. Which is, I guess, kind of how Doug is found on the roof of the casino. And
then they bring up the whole weird thing because Anna Maria is the character set up in the most typical Disney Channel fashion of being like, oh, she's the one having parent issues.
Yeah, and
she's like, I'm sorry, I was saying, I wanted a normal family. Your families are totally valid, and I'm sad that I said mean stuff to my dad. And I'm just like, why are we doing this with a character who wasn't in the whole movie? When the other character, it's just like, oh, Meg learned she shouldn't try stuff that she's not comfortable doing, which, could have some negative consequences later on in her life, too. So I was just like, shut the fuck up, Disney Channel. Just do a Hangover knockoff. We don't need this whole fucking divorced dad remarrying bullshit. But we do because,
the big game, the big wedding.
The wedding is in a half hour. Will he make it in time? Cut to, she's at the wedding.
And looks fine. She's like, well, I need to wash my hair and get my hair all fixed up. And like, that happened apparently in a half an hour.
Absolutely no tension at all. They got there, even though none of them can drive. I guess Mikey dropped them off.
But now he's watching the ducks.
Yeah, there was a duck exchange.
But yeah, they're all at the party. They're all just kind of hanging out at a cupcake table, I guess.
Well, just Anna Maria, where her dad comes over and she's like, I love you, Dad. Or there was a surprise by the altar. Her and Veronica go, oh my God, it's a birthday cake. And they all sing happy birthday for Anna Maria very poorly.
But they notice
it is her birthday, I think, that day, which is pretty fucked up by the dad to get married on his daughter's birthday.
It's kind of odd. But in the background, we see Mesmer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember exactly the role Mesmer's doing. Maybe just like waiter.
Important stuff. Anna Maria says, where'd you get the cake? Which is like, why do we care? But then Meg says, my dad made it, which means one of the gay dads is a good baker.
Wow, what a stereotype.
And then, Mesmer as a classic performance artist. Or
just doing everything, actor. Working all the jobs.
He's a waiter with the catering
This
company.
is all on the same day, too.
So he was at the Chattahoochee Onion Festival and then following up at you would think the Chattahoochee Onion Festival wouldn't end by 4 p.m., but whatever the case is. Because I don't know if I had said that's when That was kind of a deadline set up earlier in the movie. Like, well, we got to find her before my new stepdad's wedding at 4 p.m.
Yeah. Not midnight this time.
So they ask Mesmer for their trigger word.
And he doesn't even remember. He's like, freshman. And
then I got annoyed briefly because I wrote, he gives them the trigger word. And I'm like, is he not actually going to give them the trigger word? Or is he going to make me cross off my writing?
It's like a minute of him just trying to think. Like,
yeah, I'm like, is it fuck Jacob Telejohn filling in here?
So then they all have like this weird kind of like Raven Simone kind of like seeing into the future kind of thing where they all just kind of like, they all have like visions and then they all point at each other like, so that's how that happened. Oh, you did that to me. And then
when you said similar, so before they get the trigger word, they make like a prom pact.
Oh, yes, yes.
Whatever we remember.
Can't tell anybody what happened.
What happens on Slumber Party, Slumber Party.
Which is what happens in The Hangover 2. They find a camera from the night they went out and they said, we can't show this to anybody. And so in the Hangovers version, they're like with strippers and they're doing like illegal stuff, drugs, whatever, just crazy stuff.
Kids stuff.
Yeah. So now so that's basically the end of the movie.
Is we get a vertical phone video montage.
And it's just them doing all this stuff. And it is the order of how.
And that's where I went, Ron Howard.
So yeah, we see him at home. We see the one girl get accidentally elbowed in the nose. That's why she has a bloody nose. We see the one girl get dared to shave off her eyebrow. She shaves off the eyebrow. We see them doing the TP. They're doing the TP. Veronica does parkour. We see the hedgehog thing. I don't think we ever see the ducklings in it, but they kind of show everything that happens.
True. Maybe we just missed the ducklings, but that's like the most crucial. Be like, where the fuck did these come from?
Yeah.
So
why did they go to the school? How did they get into the school in the first place?
Obviously, compared to The Hangover, it's not going to be as extreme.
But
even kind of like, I mean, we're coming off a prom pack where we see kids basically not completely spelled out, but very plainly drinking alcohol. Like this, cups. Where it's just like, I don't know. I mean, it was fun in the sense, like, I remember doing dumb stuff with, like, my friends in my friend's basement.
Yeah.
Jacob was not there.
No. Sometimes I was. I went to Devin's basement several times.
And then Sam was very mean to you.
Always.
Trying to impress another one of our friends' girlfriends. Weird situation.
I don't even remember there ever being another girl there.
It was Freddie when he was going out with Jenna, and I think Sam was trying to impress Jenna by just being extremely mean to you.
I
was just like, Sam, stop.
It's all blocked.
It's the one time I stood up for Jacob Telejohn.
Thanks, Lucas.
And I've regretted it ever since.
That's how this podcast happened. Lucas became my friend.
So yeah, I was just like, it's fun kid stuff, whatever.
Yeah, I thought it was okay.
I guess you could say that about this movie generally. It was like, it's fun kid stuff, but
Lucas didn't like the movie. I didn't mind it. Not my favorite. I liked our last movie a little bit more, but it was okay. I
can't give specific examples, but there was at least a couple of times, usually surrounding Veronica, where it wasn't necessarily just cringy, but it was like either cringy or the joke was so bad that I had a physical revulsion.
Physically ugh.
And sometimes I would get mad at being like, that was such a bad joke. It made me angry.
I saw it. It happened.
But other than that, it was fine.
It was fine. It was a fine movie. This one I was telling you earlier when we were watching the movie.
Thank you for clarifying.
That this felt more like a DCOM. It wasn't like, didn't seem.
Do you remember what I said?
No.
I said, is it like a DCOM? Because it's bad.
Because it was bad. I don't
Whereas
know.
Prom Pact, I'm like, well, this wasn't like a DCOM because it was too good.
Yeah, Prom Pact kind of set the new kind of high for if that is if it's a DCOM.
We were talking about this while we were watching the movie earlier, that we already set out that the Naughty Nine at the time of this recording released like 2 days ago or something. Yeah. That movie seems to have kind of a fun premise. Will be in December, so it'll be a holiday movie. Yeah. We're going to watch the Naughty Nine. But going forward, if it's very clearly like this is the delineation between Disney Channel original movies and now Disney original movies.
Which is like Disney Plus.
And this movie opened in its opening credits with a Disney original movie. Yeah. Not say a Disney Channel original movie. I think we're just going to be moving into phase 2 of a whole new pod where we're going to be watching the movies we've talked about of being, kind of Disney Channel adjacent or kid adjacent, stuff that feels like a DCOM or stuff we maybe just want to watch. We maybe float an idea of maybe having a bit of a AWNP at the movies where we'll go and maybe watch Mean Girls 2.
Okay.
Not Mean Girls 2, Mean Girls the musical.
Yes.
You could watch Mean Girls 2 for the podcast too. Not a very good movie.
Oh, I didn't even know there was a second one.
Well, that was a direct-to-video thing.
Ugh.
But just because we set out to cover all of the DCOMs.
Which we've almost done, maybe
We have done. And it doesn't really make sense to just be like, we're going to continue just watching the movies that Disney produces that they maybe randomly decide to be like, because there's a bunch of Disney original movies on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So if we just are going to watch the ones that they randomly decide
it's weird that these are kind of showing up on that same Wikipedia page as...
Well, it's because they air on Disney Channel.
Oh, okay.
Like Prom Pact and Slumber Party aired on Disney Channel.
Yeah,
so what I'm saying is if we're just going to go down the line where we'll just watch the ones that Disney Channel or Disney randomly puts on the Disney Channel, but still doesn't call them Disney Channel original movies. So I think the era of the DCOM is over. We've kind of charted the history of that, the trends, the ups and downs, the philosophy of what a DCOM is,
what the core themes of a lot of the movies are.
So that I don't think it really makes sense, or it's not meaningful for us, and probably not for our audience for us to just watch these. Sometimes they're good, like we like Prom Pact.
Yeah, no, I think glad we watched that.
We'll both that we'll be moving towards a more infrequent upload schedule, but also movies that we think will be more fun.
We've done really good. I don't know the last time we haven't uploaded a video every 2 weeks.
We finally got good on our New Year's resolution.
Yeah, we did it for a whole year.
We can preview the next New Year's resolution, which is do fewer podcasts. Go back to 2019 era, a whole new pod. So yeah, that's a little tangent about just kind of what seems to be the writing on the wall and the future of our podcast going forward. We got, as I said, Naughty Nine we'll still do within
and
a
there's maybe
interval.
One or two others that were kind of in like the upcoming kind of movies.
Well, one of those is for a cartoon show.
Oh.
And if that one doesn't get a DCOM branding, we're not just going to randomly watch it because they aired on Disney Channel.
Okay.
Otherwise, I mean, there are some movies that they aired on Disney Channel that weren't DCOMs that we could watch. But for now, we'll leave you in suspense maybe about what we'll get to for the first ones. You can maybe guess based on things we've said on the show before.
Yeah.
So any final thoughts for you on Slumber Party, though, Jacob?
Never remember. The three kids.
Yeah, I don't know. Veronica can do some parkour or something.
Parkour and knockout. I don't think they're stopping.
No, they're all a bunch of fuck ups, and I don't like it.
They're not stopping 9/11. But
three planes went down. I would be fine with all going down.
The terrorists love the ducklings. They're oh so cute, and it stops them. The cuteness saves the day. No, they're not stopping 9/11. And the movie as a whole, like I said, not one of my top 25 favorite movies. There were aspects to it. I like the.
Are you saying the movies we watch for the podcast are just 25 favorite movies?
It's not even in my top, maybe even 50 DCOMs, but there are parts of it, like I said, the references and stuff, and maybe even like the 70s kind of thematic stuff to it that I enjoyed, but it wasn't the best of movies.
So then you can find us at awholenewpod@gmail.com, where you can write in how you feel or what direction you maybe like the show to go in, or some movies you think would be good for us to watch. I've got plenty of ideas, but we got time, I guess. But not that much time.
Not that
so
much
we're
time.
going to wrap this episode up. No, a whole new pop this week. I thought Game Fuel was coming out, but I didn't see it at the store this past week, and I don't know if I don't know if Mountain Dew will have another holiday flavor. So at this point, I'm like, I don't know, because Game Fuel was already something that they spun off to just be like their energy drink brand.
Yeah,
so I don't know. I didn't really.
I think someone is drinking it at work.
Oh fuck. Well, I can maybe check the vending machines at work. Sometimes that's where I find the new flavors.
Might be at a
gas
Quick
station.
Trip or something. Yeah,
I never go inside the.
I bet it's at Quick Trip.
So yeah, otherwise, find us on Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify.
YouTube.
Rate us where you're able. YouTube.com/awholenewpod. Like,
find us
comment,
on
and
X.
subscribe. Jacob, just let me...
Sorry. I'll sit back.
People don't like... I mean, I can't speak for anybody that actually listens because we don't hear from anybody. But generally, people don't like crosstalk all the time. We've literally done this before. Like, do you think I'm not going to get some of this stuff out? if that's the case, fine. But when I'm already saying stuff that is relevant, I'd be like, huh? What about iHeartRadio? Ah! You know what? You know the fucking deal. X, Twitter,
AWN pod.
Thank you, Dustin. Fuck you, Jacob, and fuck Sam Blaze. The episode's over.
Thank you to the people that helped me. Thank you to the people that tell me all the words are saying you care for me. Gratitude as far as the eye can see. Thank you to the cops and the grads. Thank you to the shops and the dads. Thank you to the moms helping us cope, even when there is no hope. Thank you to the doctor for curing me. Thank you, Barnes & Noble, not hurrying me. Thank you, heroes fighting for my country. Thank you, teachers, not being a cunt to me. Thank you to Marvel for showing us new worlds. Thank you to my wife for raising 3 girls. Thank you to the dogs and the cats especially, making us appreciate you sexually. There's always time to say thank you. All this gratitude, I could never hate you. In another life, of course, I would date you. Metascore for people 9.5, I would rate you. Gratitude is like a currency, Bitcoin. Thank you from my heart, tender like a sirloin. Favorite Gundam Wing character is Noin. The zoo is my favorite place to sleep.